All right, so just a little update on this whole project. Getting close to being done with it. I'm still working out a couple of minor issues, but it's getting there. I changed around everything with the heating source to be more appropriate for what this lamp is. I originally changed this lamp over from a setup from the original 200-watt incandescence to the 250-watt incandescence. I know I talked about that before, but when I changed up the mounting system on it, the bulb was sitting a little low. And I fixed that 2 nights ago. The heat seems to be appropriate now. There's a couple other problems I need to work out with it. Nothing serious. I think I'm actually going to, one, there's some bubbling in the wax, but it's just around the top. So I'm thinking if I just run it, that'll usually work out. Usually when you have bubbles in all of the wax, then you have a problem with the actual wax in the lamp. Usually if it's just the stuff at the top, just needs to be cycled out. Although I'm thinking that because there's bubbles in the top of the wax, that's actually increasing this formation to sit at the top. I don't think it's a density issue, so I'm going to run it and see if that works itself out before I make any chemical changes to the density of the wax, which changes the buoyancy of the wax within a lamp, which I can do if that becomes a problem. But I think the way it is right now, I think I just need to work out some of the bubbling in the wax, because like I said, there's none of it down here. And usually when you have a significant problem with bubbling within a lamp, if it's throughout all of the wax, you have a problem with the consistency of the wax, and then you have serious problems with how that lamp is going to function. Sometimes when you get this, and I don't even know if you can see it from here, this formation at the top being full of bubbles, sometimes that just works out that way, and then you need to run it for a little while and it'll work itself out. I hope that's the issue. If it's not, I'll get it right, but I'm hoping that's the issue because that's the easiest thing about it. But it is flowing very well now. The warm up was awesome. At some point, I'll do an 8-hour video of a warm up of this. It's fun to watch, and I'm sure that'll be cool. I'll do an 8-hour video and then cut it down and turn it into a time lapse at some point. Uh, but as to the other thing I did today too was just I thought that for scale, I took some cool pictures this morning with the grande next to it. This time I actually put a flowing grande that I'm actually quite fond of. It's going back to its owner today. This was a custom project for somebody. It's still running a little cool at the moment because I had it running upstairs and took it downstairs. And when you put it on a cement floor, it'll sap a lot of the heat out of it. So it's still getting, you can see it's still long, the single tower. It's not quite up to temp yet. That actually came out as a really cool lamp. This is an incredible lamp. And I can't wait for it to be perfect. I can't wait to go back to its owner. Well, I mean, I can and I can't. I wish it was mine, but again, the fact that I got to work on one and touch one and have for a little while really did scratch the itch for me with the whole Colossus thing. I hope to do others in the future when this is done. I hope people reach out to me at some point and want me to tackle the resto for them again. It was a lot of fun. I haven't capped it yet. I haven't done the. I hate to do this because it's running with no seal, so there's probably water under this. There usually is, but yep. um, I still have to seal this lamp, which is going to be. I don't think it's going to be a problem, but it's definitely a project I'll have to tackle at some point soon, because I do want to get this lamp back to the guy. As much as I'd love to keep it forever, I know the guy that sent it to me, I'm sure, is excited about getting it back. As far as the modifications I made to the light source, I talked a little bit about it last time, but a couple of changes this time I'll just go over real quick. At some point, if I keep doing these videos and I keep getting followers and stuff like that, I'll switch over to drawing stuff out in CAD and showing you it digitally. But for now, I'm just going to scribble stuff on paper and show you how it's done the way I did it this way. I talked about this originally, and this is kind of how the light is set up on this lamp. It's a kind of a V-shaped bracket, and there's a little bit of threaded rod, and you get the bulb socket and the bulb on top of it. I thought when I changed the legs and bent them out a little bit different and lowered the structure, because the bulb, the 250 watt, is longer than the 200 watt that originally went with it. I thought that if I had to lower the bulb to get it to fit. But I lowered it a little bit too much, and I figured that'd be the case. I wanted to be better safe than sorry, and I thought that I could just stack washers underneath this and adjust it this way, however I wanted, to bring the bulb up and down to exactly where I wanted it. Because as much as you wouldn't think it would be with a massive 250 watt incandescent heat lamp on there, a quarter of an inch is an incredible difference in temperature to the globe when you change it. But anyways, I found out that this little bit of threaded rod on the bottom of the socket was shorter than I thought. And it was also crimped in, so I couldn't just take the threaded rod out and put a different longer piece of threaded rod. I have plenty of lamp rod around, but at the same time, this was crimped in, and I'm trying to keep this thing original as I can. So instead, what I did is, if you were looking at these feet from above, there's, and it's like I said, these are never perfect. That's why I wish I could start doing it in CAD, but I'll do it at some point. But there, if you look at it from the top, there's two bolts that run into the bottom of the base through this flat foot here. This is like you're looking at this from above. And all I did to raise this instead was I made two little aluminum brackets with a slot, cut a slot into an aluminum piece of angle iron. Well, actually, it's funny. Adam Savage was talking about on his channel last week about the irony of calling all metal angle iron in America, but yeah, that's a different argument. So two pieces of aluminum, cut a slot in it, and all I did was I detached the leg for a second, slid a 1/4 inch thick piece of aluminum with a slot in it under that foot, tightened them back down, and then I put it in. I actually didn't love where it was, and then I put two tiny washers on this that would fit instead of the 8 or 9 that I needed to bring it to exactly where I wanted it to be. Now the bulb, as far as I know, is probably a 1/16 of an inch away from that bottom of the globe. And it seems like with the warm-up time, I was initially thinking that I wouldn't be able to run this at the full strength of the dimmer because of the difference with the bulb. But the warm-up time seems to be what was expected in the Colossus originally, from what I've read. Uh, it took about 9 hours to get a full warm-up yesterday, and then I turned it down overnight to about half temp. It was still kind of bubbling up occasionally, but I just wanted it low so I'd keep it kind of running. So this morning when I got around to doing this video, I could turn it back up. I don't think it's actually at full running temperature right now. It's still probably a little low. And like I said, I'm still having a couple little problems, but get those worked out over a week or two. And I got an opportunity to show off this really cool grande I finished the other day. I wish I could tell you it was going to be on the eBay page. It's not going to be. This was this is actually the only lamp I've ever done that came back to me. Just got a little bit of glass cleaner on here. It's driving me nuts. There we go. This is one I sold. Actually, I'm sure people watching this know the lamp. That was originally what I called my Emerald City lamp, and I sold it a while ago. And it went for pretty good money. I think it ended up going for like 450, 460 bucks, something like that, which is that's a lot of money for a grande. And that was a lamp that I really didn't hold back with some experimental additives and things like that. I threw a bunch of metallics into it. I colored it in a really weird way that I'm not going to say because I don't want people to try it, because it turned out that it didn't work. At least I think that's what the part of it that didn't work that caused all the problems over a long period of time. I ran that lamp 100 times. It was an incredible lamp, but it turned out that I sold it, and the guy who bought it ran it all the time, which I want people to buy my lamps. I want them to run it however they want. And I don't think he was running it in any excessive way. And whatever I did in that one, and this is not something I do in most of my lamps, whatever additives I did in that lamp essentially ended up eating itself. The wax just went, which is too bad because it's a really cool lamp. But anybody that ever buys anything up, I always stand forever by my lamps. I mean, if you messaged me 10 years after you bought something, after you ran it every day for 10 years and it was starting to have problems, that'd be a different story. But this guy messaged me, I don't know, a year after I did that lamp and sold it to him and said, hey, I'm having these problems. I said, well, of course, send it back to me. I'll pay for shipping and I'll make it right. What do you want it to be? And he decided on a turquoise, essentially. And this lamp actually came out really cool. I have to shut it off soon, actually, because I have to package it today and send it back to him. But there's a small little advertisement for me. You ever buy a lamp from me, I'm going to always stand by my work. If you have a problem with it, I'll take care of it. Including this Colossus, which I hope the guy never has a problem with it. I used very straightforward um, chemicals and dyes and wax in this one. So I don't think I'm really worried about the long-term operation of it. I'm not usually worried about the long-term operation of most of my lamps that I do. It's just that one, that Emerald City lamp was something really weird. And probably took some risks I shouldn't have with it to get that incredible effect. You can see it. It's the one running in my original Grande video. I was showing it off because it was so cool. And some of the risks I took with additives and dyes and things like that obviously didn't pay out. It paid out initially because the lamp was incredible, but long term it didn't. It wasn't happy with its chemical composition. So that thing, unfortunately, came back, got dumped, and I made this form instead, which is a pretty cool lamp. But when I'm done with all this, I'll eventually do a video where I have one of my Grandes running, and this running. I don't like to run this very often because it's still a little sketchy to run, but I'll get it going for when I do that. I know I asked last time what some of the things people want me to cover. Uh, and one of the things that came up was doing metallic waxes. I don't think I'm really going to get into that because I made a metallic grande a little while ago. I made a lunar phases clone. It was a lamp from Spencer's that was incredibly popular that had metallic wax and had a cool the base had like lunar decals on it. It was a cool looking lamp. I had a couple of them. I bought a bunch of them during COVID because I wanted to see how they worked, and then I ended up selling them off when I was done inspecting them. But it got me in the idea that I wanted to make a clone of it in the Grande. And forever I've been messing with metallics within waxes and things like that. But I've never been able to get it 100% right. And as far as I know, I don't think really any of the lava lamp people that do what I do have really gotten it right. So the grande I made was actually a little while ago. Everyone was going crazy because metallic lamps, when they come out, they don't come out very often. And Walmart released these tiny little ones. They're the ones that kind of look like a cone on both ends, and they go up. You see them all the time. They're on Amazon for like $20. They released one that looked like a disco ball. It had mirrors glued all over it. When I actually saw one in person, it was such a piece of crap. It was just literally, it looked like realistically, some kid in China probably just glued little pieces of mirrors all over the thing. But the globe had metallic wax in it. So that grande I did, and I sold it for it. Like I said, when I say I sold it for a lot of money, I never charge crazy amounts for my grandes. But the problem is the only way to get one for me, because I don't have a lot of time to do them, is I put them on my eBay page and I start auctions at $49.99. And wherever they go from there, that is completely out of my hands. I think that lunar one I did went for almost $500, but I still lost money on it because that was more of a passion project for me. I just wanted to see if I could do it. So I ended up buying 20 of those tiny little disco ball lamps, and I poured out the contents, took the wax, made new fluid, and it was a pain in the ass because it turned out that the fluid that whatever company made them seemed to be more vintage consistent than modern stuff. So I had to do a bunch of glycerin, a little propylene, and stuff like that and get it right. And it was a pain in the ass, but I got it right in the end. It was a very cool lamp, and the guy seems to be very happy with it who owns it now. But I mean, I think I spent, minus the amount of time I poured into it, between like the decals for the base, I used one of my well, not super rare, but you can get one if you buy it from Lava Lamp, but you have to spend the 180 original dollars. It was an original Lava Light, well, not Lava Light, but Lava Lamp black grande base and cap. I didn't paint it. Decals to make it look kind of like that lunar phases lamp, plus all the lamps that I put into it. I think I was into it for about $500 plus 10 hours of my time because it took a long time to get it right. They usually only take me about 2-3 hours, but this one was a lot. So I had over 500 into it. But I just wanted to see if I could do it. But anyways, the whole point I'm getting back to is as far as metallic waxes, I've never been able to get it right creating it myself. And I've tried 100 different metallic additives. And the problem with Miz is that metallic like dyes. And I've tried mica dust because that was like the first thing I tried when I wanted to do it. I tried mica dust, which is used a lot in like cosmetics and nail polishes and stuff like that to get like a metallic glimmer. That does not work. That completely throws off the density of the wax. And the one time I did it, the couple times I ran it, and I looked at it in the morning, and it was an absolute mess. And I actually threw away that wax. It was shot afterwards. All the other attempts at metallics I've tried have been metallic additives, which are used in paints, in acrylics, things like that. I've tried, I say 100, but probably 55, 60 different additives. And every time I try them, they look good at first, and then the density of the different densities in the chemicals seem to catch up with themselves. And then you run it for a week. After a week, you'll look at it, and all the metallics have fallen to the bottom of the wax, and you can't get them to get back into the wax. And I've tried changing the density of the wax. I've tried changing the density of the chemicals before I added them into the wax to see if I could help it. Can't figure it out. And I can get wax metallic-ish, but I can't get that true like metallic wax that people want. That, and I don't know. Actually, I guess I can talk about it. I don't want you to try this because this is how I did that lunar phases lamp. I wouldn't have talked about it before, but because I know it doesn't work, I'll bring it up. That I found an old Reddit post from 10 years ago about how somebody was showed their lamp and it looked incredible. They said, "Oh, this is how I got a metallic wax." And they said that they used metallic Sharpies. And I said, well, that sounds a little ludicrous to me, but I'll give it a shot. And that old lunar phases lamp I made with emerald green metallic Sharpies. I took all the dye out of them. So, and realistically, all it is in those is just an alcohol paint in those Sharpies. And it did. It looked great for a long time and then completely fell apart. And said, I don't say don't try things, but you stand the risk of losing wax. I have got, and I'm only talking over this and making this long because I thought people would want to just see this thing running. I think I have the glitter ball effect down, which is Mathmos made for a little while these lamps called glitter ball lamps, and they were like either true metallic wax. There was a couple of them, and they were like they looked literally like liquid metal, which I haven't got into that. I mean, it's something I'd love to, but one thing at a time. But they also made what looked like a typical lava lamp. So it had regular flowing wax that had glitter in the wax. And for years, I was trying to figure out how to do that. And I was trying different types of glitter and different types of wax, and nothing was right. It would flow for a minute, and then it would just go to hell. I did figure that out. I think I have a small lamp that's been running for on and off for months now, and it's perfect. I haven't done it with a grande yet, and the reason I haven't done it with a grande yet is because, as cool as the glitter balls seem and the pictures you see look, those lamps suck. Um, they only have a short run time on them. When you start them and it's like, wow, that's awesome, but you don't get credible flow out of them, including the Mathmos ones, including mine. If you look up any videos of a glitter ball actually running, they're terrible lamps. They look really cool, but the way that you have to make them doesn't allow for a typical lava lamp flow. What happens is you run them, and when they hit that magical temperature, and I can mess around with dimmers, and I will at some point to see if I can kind of try to preserve try to say the good part. It's still not really a good part. You look at those glitter balls, and they create little or big just balls of wax. You don't get any cool flow, and it also makes a mess of just little tiny bits of wax when you run them for more than 15 or 20 minutes. And that's including Mathmos ones and including the one I did. So I think I got it right. But the problem is now that I have one and now that I've seen a million videos, they're not good. They're terrible. They're terrible. So I've been hesitant to make a grande out of it because, like I said, they suck. Um, not just mine, and I'm pretty sure I have their chemical composition down to a T. So it's not mine. It's just those lamps are awful. And I might make one at some point just to say I did. Might keep it in my small collection. Just just to have it, just to say, hey, look, I figured it out. But as far as selling one, I don't want to sell a product that's not awesome. Yeah, I don't want to sell a product that's not awesome. And those aren't awesome. I know that there's somebody that realistically, one of my competitors is really been hell bent on making a lamp that has wax in a glitter fluid. I think it's completely impossible. The way they work, I don't think that's possible. And that's another thing some people have asked me previously. Could we do a glitter lamp that has wax in it? No, I don't think that the chemistry is there to make that happen. The way that densities work between different fluids, and the fact that glitter lamps function off nothing. Glitter lamps functions off no heat. You can practically run them off. I know people that run smaller glitter lamps off LEDs. They take such a small amount of energy to get that fluid movement within glitter lamps that getting the large amount of energy that requires lava lamps to function and getting that small amount of energy without just making the glitter just sit at the top of the lamp, I don't think is physically possible. More luck to them if they do get it right. Awesome. I hope they do. I just don't think it's possible. What else was I going to say? Oh, people keep asking me. I know I saw a couple of comments about just speaking of glitter lamps, doing glitter lamps. I have done them a couple of times. I think I get the science of how they work. I think I can make glitter fluid. It's not something that appeals to me. That doesn't mean I won't get into that at some point if this keeps going and people keep enjoying these and asking me to do more. Um, I'll have to get into glitter lamps when I start running out of content I can cover. Um, so bear with me on those. I'll have to go back because I haven't done a glitter lamp in a couple of years. I think I have the cocktail that I wrote down in my notebook somewhere, so I know how to do them. Uh, they are tricky. As tricky as anything else, though, getting that perfect balance where they don't take a ton of energy, but at the same time, if you apply the right amount of energy, everything doesn't go to the top, everything doesn't just sit at the bottom. They're tricky to get perfect, but again, like any lava lamp stuff, it's not rocket science, but I can cover them at some point if I can get around to it. But on that again, though, anyways, anything you want to know, keep giving me ideas, um, and I'll try to get to them at some point or another. I try to answer all the comments people bring up and questions in the comments of the videos. If I don't, just ask the same question again, and I might have missed it. Like I said a billion times, I'm a busy guy and I don't make lava lamps for a living. So keep asking questions. I'll get to them when I can. I think the next video I have to do is I made an agreement with Claude from Lava Lab that I'm doing a little promotional thing for him. I don't know if it's going to be on here or not. You'll be able to find it if you want it. But yeah. Anyways, I'll get this thing right within a couple of weeks. I'll do a final video when I do. We'll get everything running at once. We'll talk again. Until then, don't drink your lamps.